Tonight on CTV, we talk to teachers struggling to make ends meet.
And see why the mayor was under investigation by City Council.
And meet a professor who's running for office.
Good evening, Rams. I'm Edgar Cedillo.
And I'm Matt Leisman.
The annual Take Back the Night event returned to CSU to conclude Sexual Assault Awareness Month. The night was coordinated by the Women and Gender Advocacy Center and the Campus Feminist Alliance. Collegian reporter Raven Coulier went to the event and talked to the Assistant Director of Victim Services.
Survivors often think that they are the only ones, that they're the only ones who have experienced this, that no one else would understand what they've gone through. It's really helpful to heal in community, and so creating a space where people can see that we can all heal and share and love together is incredibly powerful.
Attendees marched from campus to the Old Town Plaza, where they listened to a keynote speaker, Emma Solkovich, a former Columbia University student famed for their art project at Mattress Performance.
Nearly 41% of Colorado State's almost 2,000 employees are non-tenure track faculty, or NTTF. These faculty members are often tasked with teaching lower-level courses, sometimes with more than 100 students. Despite this, NTTF earn much less than their tenured counterparts. However, recently, a movement has started to change this.
According to RateMyProfessors.com, Denise Apodaca is the most popular professor at Colorado State by a wide margin. But long hours, low pay, and extra jobs to cover the gap have left her missing her family.
Many times I've thought about leaving. I love my students and I love what I do. You know, I think I was born to be a teacher. I don't know what else I would do if I wouldn't be teaching. But it's crossed my mind many times, you know, of thinking if I got a full-time job somewhere else, at least maybe I could spend more time with my kids.
Apodaca is just one of many non-tenure track faculty at CSU struggling to make ends meet. How much does she make? Let's break it down.
NTTF make approximately $5,000 per class, with an average of 4 classes per semester, plus a $1,600 stipend. That comes out to just under $22,000 per semester and $44,000 a year. Now, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, the cost of living in Fort Collins is around $60,000. That means NTTF at CSU are paid roughly 33% less than the cost of living in Fort Collins. Recently, Professor Dan Stephen and the Council for Non-Tenure Track Faculty put out a petition titled Fair Pay for NTTF. The petition seeks to establish a minimum salary of $52,000 per year for full-time NTT faculty. CSU currently employs almost 800 NTTF members. If each of them were to see a raise to $52,000 a year, it would cost the university nearly $8 million. The petition claims this could be done without raising student tuition. Student body president Tristan Siren signed the petition, but he says moving the money is not that simple.
I think you can do almost everything without raising tuition, but that means you're not doing something else.
Students and faculty of CSU now look to incoming President Joyce McConnell, who has a history of promoting gender equity and raising faculty salaries. Professor Apodaca is hoping she'll be able to catch a break.
Maybe I can have a little bit of quality of life and also just a cost of living bump, you know, to make it not so hard.
Dan Stephen, who started the petition, says it has brought new faces and energy to the movement for equity, and they are ready to fight as long as necessary. Director of Public Affairs and Communications for CSU, Mike Hooker, says CSU is continually assessing the quality of life for all of our faculty and staff. The escalating cost of living in our community provides significant ongoing challenges that we are still evaluating while also taking tangible steps forward.
Colorado Parks and Wildlife Services closed their investigation on CSU professor Gregory Ebel. They issued a citation for the illegal possession of wildlife on April 28th, which cost a grand total of $208. PETA also filed a complaint with CPW against Ebel in the fall of 2018. They received a tip that Ebel was keeping wild crows in his laboratory. Now, press release area wildlife manager Ty Petersburg says, upon investigation, this case appears to be one of an administrative oversight, not of an intentional violation. Ebel's research concerned understanding how viruses like West Nile emerge and spread.
An ethics review board decided Mayor Wade Troxell is not guilty last week. The Coloradoan reported a panel of Fort Collins City Council members didn't find any potential ethical breaches while investigating allegations that Troxell acted improperly while seeking the city police union's endorsement for re-election. The Fraternal Order of Police accused Troxell of threatening Officer Chris Wren's employment if the local lodge didn't endorse his re-election bid. The board looked at 2 possible violations to city code. Did Troxell use his position to ask for special treatment? And did Troxell have improper contact with the city employee without disclosing the contact? But the heart of the question was whether Mayor Troxell was acting as candidate Troxell, whether Wren was acting as a city employee or lodge president, and whether the men's dual roles could be separated. The board determined they could.
Michaela Surratt, the CSU student whose arrest outside Bondi Beach Bar in 2017 was captured on video and went viral, is appealing her conviction and suing the Fort Collins police officer for alleged excessive force. Surratt was sentenced to 1 year supervised probation in October after a jury found her guilty of misdemeanor obstructing a police officer and resisting arrest. The now viral clip shows Officer Randall Klassmer forcing Surratt to the ground outside the bar. The lawsuit filed on March 26 alleges that Klassmer violated Surratt's constitutional protection against unreasonable search and seizure.
Have you ever been to a marijuana dispensary? Ever wonder why they check your ID so many times or tell you not to be on your phone? Reporter Bella Roberts has all the answers.
Marijuana may be legal in the state of Colorado, but it is not federally legal, which alludes to many regulations and precautions.
We usually, when you go out of the waiting room and you go onto the sales floor, we do have chains that state that this is a no access area, that you can't go beyond that, and by law we have to have those chains up.
Colorado cannabis companies are currently never allowed to advertise out of state.
We have one at the desk where we scan your ID, and we use a technology that links right up with all the DMVs in the country. And then once you are cleared there, you'll wait, and then a bud tender will come to the door and they'll say who's next, and then they have to give their ID to the bud tender, and the bud tender will hold on to it and check its authenticity.
A dispensary cannot be located within 1,000 feet of a school.
Keeping product out of the hands of minors, which is like the ultimate goal of the waiting room, and not having people have visual access to products who walk into the store. You do have to separate, that's why we had curtains up over there. You do have to separate those sides. Medical patients have confidentiality. HIPAA, the HIPAA laws apply to them. So if you have that med card and you are being served on the med side, confidentiality has to be in place.
According to marijuanadoctors.com, 2 questions must be asked when deciding if HIPAA applies. Is it protected health information, and is the entity storing or transmitting the information a covered entity?
For more information on marijuana dispensary laws, you can visit colorado.gov.
The race for president isn't the only one filling up. Here in Colorado, there are 11 Democrats so far running against Republican Senator Cory Gardner. I spoke with the CSU professor who joined the race last week.
The 2020 elections are already heating up in Colorado, with more than 10 Democratic candidates already announcing their race, including Ellen Burns, a current CSU professor. She is running against Republican Senator Cory Gardner in what is expected to be the most watched race of 2020.
We need to win 2 seats as Democrats in order to have control in the Senate, and that's our goal.
Burns is running on a platform that focuses on affordability, emphasizing housing, healthcare, and education.
It's important to have access to education, both K through 12 and college level. And student loans are one of the biggest issues facing young people these days.
Burns is using her background in environmental work to tackle the issue of climate change.
Put a price on carbon and use that to fund the training. Use that to fund the research, both in the public sector, like the great work going on here at CSU, and also in the private sector.
Burns also spoke about the possibility of bringing the first female senator to lead Colorado.
Until we have women in these seats, we're not going to change this access. We're not even going to bring voice to the things that need to be done.
Burns is ready to make her case to Colorado voters as to why she is better suited to represent the state in Washington.
I think this responsibility side, both from a social perspective, a constituent sense of responsibility, and the financial side, I can be very clear that I disagree with his decisions of, national emergencies and need to build a wall. I absolutely disagree with that.
As Democrats hope to regain control of the U.S. Senate, that could very well come down to this Senate race here at home.
Governor Jared Polis announced earlier today that Colorado will hold its presidential primary on Super Tuesday, which will fall on March 3rd of 2020. But that won't have an effect on the Senate primaries. That primary race will still be held in June. So, before we go, it's your last show, so you're about to graduate, so tell us how you're feeling.
I am so bummed to be leaving CTV behind. I've been at CSU for 4 years, but it really only feels like college started last year for me when I joined CTV. Before that, I was just kind of wandering around, had no idea what I was doing, and I don't know, CTV has given me a wealth of amazing friends and a new career in life, and I couldn't ask for anything more.
Well, it's been awesome anchoring with you this past semester, so we're surely going to miss you here at CTV, and we wish you all the best of luck. So
thank you.
That's all we have tonight. Good night, Rams.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Good evening, and I'm Hannah Willis, your Tuesday night weather anchor. The current temperature outside is 46 degrees and slightly cloudy, with winds blowing at 7 miles per hour east and gusts up to 8 miles per hour. The sun will set later at 7:55 in the evening. Earlier today, snow and rain left a damper on spring, as can be seen on these flowers, which caused many of them to close up their petals to the colder weather. It was wet and snowy all around campus, and students were cold and bundled up on their walk to class. Going into tonight's lows, we see that things will cool down quite a bit, with Fort Collins reaching 37 degrees, Denver reaching 40, and things a little bit warmer down in Pueblo at 42. Going over to this side of the state, we see similar temperatures of 36 in Burlington, 35 in Lyman, and 41 in Lamar. Going into tomorrow's highs, things will still remain relatively cool, with Fort Collins reaching 51 degrees as the high, and things warming a little bit down the I-25 corridor, with Denver reaching 53 degrees, Colorado Springs reaching 56, and Pueblo higher at 69. We also see higher temperatures on this side, with Lamar reaching 71. Going into tomorrow's forecast, we see that the high will be 51, as we were saying earlier, and a low of 31. It'll be cloudy outside, and the wind will pick up just slightly, up to 9 miles per hour, blowing northeast this time. And we'll see an increase of humidity at 70%, and the sun will set a minute later at 7:56 in the evening. Looking ahead to our 5-day forecast, we see that temperatures will warm up this weekend, with Saturday reaching 73 degrees and sunny, and Sunday reaching 72 with slight clouds. Thanks for tuning in for the last time. Up next, Jess and Tara will give you final updates on softball.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes, but with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
They told me a bottle couldn't dream. That I would never become a superhero. fly. Just to come back in a new disguise and be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
Welcome back from the break, Ram fans, and to the JT Double Take. I'm Tara Barrio.
And I'm Jessica Mendoza. Tara, Colorado has 2 teams in the playoffs that have made it to the second round. The Nuggets and the Avs are continuing to share the Pepsi Center, and this is marking history because this is the first time that both teams have made it to the second round of the playoffs in the same year. So this is really awesome for Colorado fans and sports fans.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the second time since 1989 that the Nuggets have made it. But for the Avs, they've made it in 2008, 2006, 2004, 2002, and then in 2001, they won the Stanley Cup. So yeah. I'm not super surprised about the Avs, but I'm super excited to see what happens with the Nugs.
Yeah, I mean, you have to give it up to both teams. They've both really done a lot. Beating the Flames and beating the Spurs in the first round is huge for both of these sports teams. So I just can't say it enough. It's awesome to be a Colorado native, to be in this time where they're both in the second round, and we're going to have to wait and see how far they can just make it in these playoffs this year.
Yeah, exactly. Well, with only one more series left of the season, the CSU softball team is so close from clinching the Mountain West title. They will be heading to Boise State, Idaho this upcoming weekend in hopes of making a dream a reality. Looking into the upcoming weekend against the Broncos, key players the Rams need to watch out for are junior infielder Brady Fillmore and senior outfielder Corey Wade. Fillmore, who was just awarded Mountain West Softball Player of the Week, also leads the Mountain West Conference with 14 home runs and is batting .362. Wade, who trails behind CSU Ambry Nelson in batting average, is batting .427 with already having 64 hits this season. Both players have been huge assets to the Broncos this season and are definitely going to be a huge threat for the Rams up at the plate. Hitting was a huge struggle for the Rams this weekend in the second and third game against San Diego State. It took them a while in both games to find their rhythm up at the plate and figure out how not to get jammed on that inside pitch. But if the Rams come out playing just like they have been all season long and getting runs on board early, they should be able to clinch that title, win their title, and win their 8th straight Mountain West Series straight. Game 1 will be starting at 5 p.m. on Friday in Boise, Idaho.
Well, Tara, speaking of the softball team, there is one junior who happens to be a Colorado native.
Yes, Jessica. Haley Donaldson grew up here in Fort Collins, and I was able to sit down and talk to her about playing collegiate softball here in Fort Collins. Drive, hard work, and dedication is exactly what explains CSU softball player Haley Donaldson. The 21-year-old junior, born and raised here in Fort Collins, had a dream to play for a team she had watched her whole life. So Donaldson turned that dream into reality.
I kind of grew up going to Hughes Stadium and tailgating there with my family and growing up, so it's been a dream come true to play here because I grew up coming to these games, so it's crazy.
Donaldson comes from a family that has a long line of athletes, even some that played here at Colorado State.
It's awesome because I kind of just grew up in a family that played a bunch of sports. So my uncle actually played professional football and he played at CU Boulder. And my dad played football for a little bit here at CSU, and then my brother played baseball at Metro. And it's just kind of fun because I always chased him around and played wiffle ball, so it's kind of cool to see that aspect.
Haley's dad, John Donaldson, expresses his gratitude about his only daughter following in his footsteps after playing football here at CSU.
Oh, it's great. It's fun. It's just great to have her here and playing for CSU and for obviously such a great team and a great program, so it's been awesome.
Donaldson had played for Nebraska Huskers her first year of college, but after a year of playing for the Huskers, she thought it was time to come home, and so did her parents.
It's been unbelievable, and to have her close to home, it's just so much fun spending time with her. So we were ecstatic when she decided to come back.
Yeah, it was great. I told her she should have never went there in the first place. So it was great to have her back at CSU for sure. So.
Playing sports her whole life, Haley explains how her brother has been what has pushed her to be a better player.
Athletically, I would say my brother, just because he worked very, very hard in everything he did. And, you don't have to be the biggest or the fastest or the strongest, but you can definitely be the hardest worker and get somewhere from there.
Although Haley's older brother pushed her to be a better player, I wanted to ask her parents if there was ever any rivalry while growing up.
Well, they competed since she started walking. They just always were so competitive and played. They were in the backyard playing from football to softball to baseball, just always competing, and they still do anything that involves sports.
Haley explains what her biggest accomplishment is.
Just being a CSU Ram, honestly.
Sorry for the technical difficulties, but you can catch the full story on our YouTube channel 11.
Yeah, but Tara, despite that was a really awesome story, just the fact that she's so inspired by her brother, and it seems like her family is so supportive. Even the dog is so cute.
Yeah, that family is so down to earth, and it was really fun being able to talk to them and hear all about her story.
Yeah, well, she'll be a senior next year. And speaking of seniors, it was senior day on Saturday for the CSU track and field team as the Rams competed in their final home meet of the season at the Jack Christensen track. And the team really turned up the heat for their final competition at home and for their senior teammates, which includes Kelsey Bedard, Macy Kreutz, Nathaniel Gish, Eli Oftedal, and many more. Starting off the morning, the men's 4x100 topped their previous season high. In the men's 400-meter hurdles, Jermaine Barnes took the lead in the Mountain West with his new fastest time, and 2 more records were broken during the meet by Jessica Ozude in the women's 200-meter dash and by Jackson Morris, who is now CSU's all-time leader for the javelin throw. Morris marked an amazing distance of 68.69 meters. Up next, the track team will be competing in the Mountain West Outdoor Championship in Fresno, California next week.
Well, Rams, it's time for another week of Disrupted Picks. Today we have a submission from Chloe Jacobs, and she asks, now that the NFL draft is over, what players do we see that may get cut or traded? Well, Jessica, what do you think?
So the first person that probably comes to my mind is Brian Hoyer with the Patriots, just because Tom Brady, being a backup quarterback for Tom Brady, that's always got to be tough. But they've picked up a new quarterback from Auburn in the 4th round. So I think the Patriots having Tom Brady, they don't need 3 quarterbacks. And they've definitely dealt with 2 quarterbacks in the past many, many times. So I think that if he isn't really going to show them a whole lot, especially during mini camps and team camps and stuff like that, I can definitely see him either getting traded or just getting cut because he is 33. So his career could be coming to an end pretty soon.
Yeah, and that's same for Daniel Lee, inside linebacker for the New York Jets. I am honestly just kind of surprised he's still on the roster, considering they have signed 2 inside linebackers in the consecutive years, Avery Williamson and CJ Mosley. So I just feel like personally for Lee, he would either thrive. I think he would thrive on a different team, a team who is in need of an inside linebacker, and he'd see the field better or field more, I believe, than he is going to this season.
Yeah, and I definitely think we have to talk about Tyreek Hill. We talked about him earlier on our Disrupted Picks, but there's been more information that's come out from all of the domestic abuse that he's been involved in. And the Chiefs have continued to say, we're going to have to wait and see how this turns out. We're going to take our time making this decision. But I definitely think it is that time that the Chiefs do drop Tyreek Hill from their roster. And I think it shows in their first pick of the draft, they picked up wide receiver Mecole Hardman. So I definitely think that Tyreek Hill will be one player who we won't see in the NFL next year.
Yeah, and one more player that I know both of us are going to agree on is the quarterback for the Dolphins, Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, definitely. We could definitely see him go as well.
Yeah.
Well, especially with Josh Rosen. So
yeah.
You definitely got to think about how they just got Josh Rosen as a trade. So
yeah,
they're definitely not going to need another quarterback there as well.
Yeah, and I feel like he should go to a team that is in desperate need of a starter or an up-tier backup.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Rams, that is all we have for you this semester. But for more sports news throughout the rest of the year, be sure to follow us on Twitter at sports_CTV. I'm Jessica Mendoza.
And I'm Tara Barra. But stick around because up next is Justin Rios, has all details on FOCO MX. Don't go anywhere.
Listen, I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you judge me for having a problem. No one is going to know that I need help. I need help. I know that no one is going to judge me for having a problem. I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you listen.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back, Rams. I'm your entertainment host, Justin Ramirez, here to guide you through your last Tuesday entertainment of the semester. We're finally here, so let's not waste any more time. Intersectionality is a complicated topic to tackle. While many may think it's intimidating, intersectionality looks at an interconnected social categories like race, class, and gender as they apply to a given person to examine overlapping systems of discrimination. Intersectionality, an art show, is a new art exhibit opening at the Carnegie Center for Creativity in Fort Collins on May 11th. The reception is from 4 to 6 in the evening. With the art show, it conveys complexity of the human experience through an intersectional lens. Maybe we can finally learn from our differences and coexist. Unless you like pineapple pizza, in which case, stay out. For more information, you can contact the Carnegie Center for Creativity at 970-416-2069. There's nothing quite like the music scene in Fort Collins. Whether you're into soul, jazz, indie, or electronic, there's always something to satisfy even the most devout music connoisseur's appetite. And luckily for us, there's an annual music experiment just downtown that keeps that wide mix of musical genres alive.
If you're looking for that live music experience, look no further than Fort Collins Music Experiment, or better known as FOCO MX.
It's really, every year we try to experiment with different things. And if you're open to experimenting with some new genres, or even if you just want to go see some bands that you know you like, or if you don't even know any local bands, if you go to a show with some genres that you probably like, you're probably going to find a band that you really like.
Music enthusiasts crowded downtown Fort Collins this past weekend. Ranging from venues like the Aggie Theater to the rooftop of Illegal Pete's, this year's FOCO MX welcomed over 370 bands across 30 venues. Most of the venues are within walking distance, and with a variety of genres like folk, rock, and pop, there's sure to be something for everyone.
Go to a bar and check out a band and say, hey, I don't really like this band. You can literally go next door and see another band. You don't have to pay another cover charge. You're already in.
The energy of the crowd and the vibrations from the instruments in the tight-packed theater makes for a much more intense music experience.
FOCO MX happens annually, so if you missed out on Fort Collins and Northern Colorado's music scene, it will return next year. As an era of Marvel movies ends with Avengers Endgame, a new chapter in the Marvel Cinematic Universe opens up. As with all superhero movies, the superheroes portrayed typically make their humble debut printed on paper. Free Comic Book Day is going down May 4th and is an annual promotional effort by the comic book industry to help bring new readers into comic book stores. Whether you're a superhero or a supervillain, you can make your way around comic book stores around Fort Collins like Griffin Games and Comics. If you would like more information, you can go to freecomicbookday.com. Well, Rams, that's all the time I have for you tonight. Thank you for tuning in to this semester, and make sure you come back tomorrow night for the last Humans of CSU, same time, same channel, with the people you know. Stay warm, good luck on finals, and have a great summer.